What you doing, eh? What do you think? What do you think? Do you like it? Do you like it? Yeah. The iOptron GEM45 NUC. Here it is. Let's do a quick run through exactly what this is. It's an equatorial mount, and I found it really tricky to get going. The reason for that is because after a lot of work there was a faulty USB cable. Now I know that sounds really obvious, that if it just doesn't work you just change the USB cable. It wasn't obvious because it was intermittent, so sometimes it would connect and work, sometimes it would disconnect.
Telescope connected.
Okay, so let's watch this. I'm just going to drop this down. There we go, straight away, it's disconnected. And that's really difficult to diagnose. So I thought that this mount was faulty. And as a result, it led to 3 nights of pulling my hair out. That is Vega up there. So I'm on astrophotography tool. I have selected Vega. The mount is currently set on Polaris up there. So I've selected Vega. It should now slew to Vega. So let's go to. So now I'd have to stop it. So the telescope's now pointed at my house, but Vega's up there. So if I now park the scope again. It's now going the wrong way round to park. It led to 3 nights of pulling my hair out, and then on the final night it was brilliant. Well, after all of the work on getting the mount up and running, the guiding figures average 0.18, it was just 0.17, and it's windy at the moment. It's really windy. That's staggering. Those are staggering figures. It's gone up to 2021, but those are staggering, and the actual images are, well, the stars are pinpoint as you'd expect, and you can see the Cygnus wall going along there. Blimey, I never knew that a faulty USB cable could cause so much trouble. Absolutely brilliant. I've never seen guiding figures as good as when I was using this. But the first 2 nights it was hopeless. I cannot emphasize how terrible it was. However, the mount is really nice. It is a really nice mount, but it does have its design flaws. It's not heavy, it's not very heavy, you can actually lift it quite easily, but the beauty of this mount is that its loading capacity is huge. It can take up to 20 kilograms, which is really good. So big tick there, you can lift it easily, you can transport it easily, it's really good. Screws on the side here are a bit tricky to put in, so you do not want to be rigging these in darkness. It is just too difficult to see, and you do need to use the supplied Allen key. Now this is super cool. If you look here, there's an Allen key in a little magnetic holder. You just put it in and it stays there because it's magnetic. That's cool, I like that, but it's still really difficult even with that to use. So they're not so brilliant. The screws on either side are supplied without any oil on them. I strongly recommend a slightly thick viscous oil like 3-in-1, not WD-40. WD-40 is not an oil, it's kind of a cleaning and releasing agent. It's like water, so you need something a little bit thicker just to lubricate these threads here, otherwise they'll wear. It will attract more dust and dirt, but it's more important that it's properly lubricated. And the same goes for the latitude adjustment here. This turnbuckle that you've got here, which has opposite threads on here, what it needs is a tiny little bit of 3-in-1 oil again, just to keep that lubricated. Otherwise you'll get loads of wear down there, which is not what you want. One thing I did notice was that when you adjust this, because all of the load is pushing down, one way will be really easy and the other one will be really difficult. So you'll find when you're adjusting, when you're polar aligning the mount, you'll find that one way is really easy because it's got all the weight on it, and the other way is really difficult because it's pushing against all the weight. But I do like this design, and I think it's one of the better ones I've seen. It allows you to adjust it quite easily and fairly accurately as well. So that's a really good thing. Now on to something which I'm not so keen on. I don't really like these clutches. You have to twist it quite firmly and make sure you've gone through the full 90 degrees. Because if you happen to not go through the full 90 degrees, it leaves the worm gear grating against its corresponding gear inside, which means that it gets damaged. So if you accidentally only do it 45 degrees and don't realise because it's dark, and then you move the mount, you've damaged the mount. So it's really, really important that you quite forcefully say, right, I've gone 90 degrees, check you've gone 90 degrees, and then move the mount. One thing I will say is the mount is so smooth. It's top heavy at the moment, which is why it will go, but it is so smooth. It's like butter. That is beautifully engineered. And the guiding figures reflect that as well. And likewise with the saddle at the top here, obviously it's front heavy so it will rotate, so I won't let it spin round, but you can see how slack it is. It's beautifully engineered. But again, these clutches here to engage and disengage those mechanisms, make sure you rotate it through 90 degrees, otherwise it will damage the worm gear. And the worm gear is not covered by warranty if it's damaged in any way. It's really important to note. It's all over the instructions that it's not covered. This little unit on the side here is the GPS device, and it's I've put some Velcro on the side because otherwise it just sort of dangles. It doesn't have anywhere to live. That's one thing which is a bit weird, is that there are no sort of, leaves you guessing a little bit as to where you want to put things. So I've put some Velcro on and then just put it on the side to keep it on there so it won't fall out and won't get damaged. I kind of feel like there should be a place where that should go. And the same with the hand controller. I have deliberately not brought the hand controller out because there isn't a holster to put it in. It's got kind of a finger loop, which I suppose you meant to hang off some part of it. But again, it just sort of swings about and gets knocked and damaged. I'm not a hand controller user when I'm imaging because I'm just not. I don't really use one. But I kind of feel like there needs to be a holster or a place where you put stuff. So yeah, it doesn't have that, which is a bit odd. This is the hand controller, and when you open it, on the back it has 8407 plus and CR2032 battery not installed. So does that mean I have to get a CR2032 battery and install it? I don't know. And 8407 plus, I don't know what that means. Well, actually I do now. I've done a bit of homework. That's the firmware version, but it doesn't tell you anywhere about that. It just assumes that you know it's the firmware version. So I came to hang it on the mount, and there's nowhere to hang it. So you're given a little loop, and I suppose you just hang it wherever, so it just dangles. Another thing I noticed was on the saddle, if I spin this around, on the saddle it's a dual mount, so you can take a Los Mandy plate, or you can have the Vixen plate here. Now, if you have a small scope on here, and I don't really class my scope as small, I kind of think it's a medium-sized scope, but the rings on the scope foul these corners, even though the Vixen mount is actually quite long, which is a bit weird, to be honest. So I don't want my brand new mount getting scratched. I don't want this lovely black surface getting ruined. I know over time it will, not on the first use. And it also fouled the rings themselves, so it would scratch my telescope. So I've actually had to go and invest in a Lost Mandy plate as well, which is, yeah, not brilliant, but if you had a huge long Vixen mount, then that would be okay because your rings would be apart. But if on a small scope, you're going to damage it. It just didn't quite like that. I don't like damaging things. It shouldn't be necessary on a mount. Shouldn't be necessary. Cable management. Now, I'm not using a NUC PC, and I know this is a NUC designed mount. So the PC is meant to sit here underneath and then either be mounted or screwed on the front here so that you've got all the connections and it rotates with the mount. I get that. I don't have one. So possibly in the future I will, which is why I got that. But it also means that the USB socket, which is just there on this mount, as this rotates, it turns as well. So there needs to be careful thought with cable management if you're using, say, a laptop or a separate PC, to make sure that you incorporate that cable management and to make sure those cables don't get pulled. Because if that gets pulled and these get damaged, you're not going to be able to use the mount. Ideally, I would have liked, like on a normal GEM45, the USB socket is, I think it's on one of these sides here. That would be better. I think that's a better design and that's roughly where it should be. But, you know, it is what it is. The other thing is it only came with one counterweight. I get that, but it's a lump of steel, and I know with all of the things going on in the world, materials are really expensive at the moment. But a mount of this quality, capable of taking up to 20 kilos, it needs two counterweights. I can balance the mount, I can balance it fine, but you don't want loads of swinging weight far away. What you want is the weight to be balanced further up, and therefore you're reducing the movement and therefore getting better guiding. So this mount is about guiding. That's what this is about. It's about improving your guiding, and therefore your exposures will be better. Two counterweights, please. So that's just a little bit unfortunate. So yeah, you do need two counterweights, really. When I finally got the mount up and running and I got the guiding going really well, I was astonished, to be honest. It was really good. It was really good. It slewed where I wanted it to go. It plate solved where I wanted it to go. And it was just a joy to see that kind of guiding. Absolutely brilliant. That's a major tick, and that's what this mount is all about. Two really important things that you have to do on this mount before you use it. On the hand controller, when you go into alignment, you need to scroll down to clear alignment data. If you go into the menu and then go down to alignment, when you first get one of these, you have to plug this hand controller in and you have to tell it to clear alignment data, that one there. And then that tells it, wherever it was first switched on, that it's not there anymore. It's basically cleared that. When this mount was manufactured, it was obviously tested with that local alignment data. So it's super important that you delete that information first. Otherwise, the mount will use that information on the hand controller. The other thing you have to do, and this can be done again on the hand controller or in the software, you have to find the 0 position. The other thing which you need to do is go into menu and go all the way down to 0 position, and you select that and you tell it to search for 0 position, and it should then find it, but I've already found it. But if you go menu, let's go to 0 position and then go to 0 position, the mount is already at 0 position currently, so it's not moved. But basically you want to set your 0 position so that it's pointing with the counterweight bar pointing downwards, so that you've got a position to basically reset your mount to every time you use it. If it doesn't know its zero position, which is basically what you see there, everything pointing down to the ground and properly aligned, as if, for example, you're pointing at Polaris when you're doing your polar alignment, you've got to put that zero position in. Otherwise, the mount just won't know where it's meant to be, and it's really important that you put that information in. When I first used the mount, I didn't know that it had a faulty USB lead, and as a result, when it kept disconnecting, the mount was losing its location, and as a result, it just didn't know where to slew to. This was really difficult to be able to diagnose, because sometimes it would connect and then all of a sudden it would disconnect. And also, when I was using the iPolar here to polar align, it kept connecting and disconnecting. So I thought the iPolar was faulty, not the mount, and then the mount was disconnected, so I thought the mount was faulty. It was really difficult to know what was going on. So it took loads and loads of fault finding just to be able to analyse exactly what the problem was. I'm glad it was just a USB lead, because otherwise it would be sending back the mount time. Something else which you have to do when you get this mount, if you are in the southern hemisphere, you have two sets of screws, one really long one here and another one here, and they have to be changed. So if you're in the southern hemisphere, from 14 degrees to 44 degrees, this entire screw has to be moved downwards. Now it's supplied as if you're in the southern hemisphere, or at least mine was. So I had to adjust that one to go to the 36 degrees to 68 degrees, so that you could basically work in the northern hemisphere, which is where we are. You also then have to change the corresponding screws on either side here, so that you are able to lock the mount off. That's really important. It's not difficult to do, you just follow the instructions. It is actually really well documented. So that's a really simple thing you have to do. So what do I think of the GEM45 NUC? What do I think? I wish the instructions had told me from the outset to clear the alignment data and to set the zero position, in addition to the really well documented bit about the northern and southern hemispheres changes. I wish the USB port was on the side instead, because it's going to be twisting. The build quality is really nice. It's a beautiful looking mount. It's really nice. The red anodized is lovely. The faulty USB lead could potentially have damaged part of the mount, because it was slewing all over the place, and that's not my fault that it was doing that. That's the supplied piece of kit with the iOptron. I know it's only a USB lead. Test it as part of your quality control checks. It needs two counterweights. They should be supplied as standard. The guiding, however, on the mount, first go hopeless, second go hopeless, third go, when everything was set up properly, the guiding was astounding. I mean, it was astounding. I think at one point I got to 0.15, and then when we did the meridian flip, the guiding was slightly worse, but it was still something like 1.27. I've never ever had guiding figures like that. So apparently also the guiding will improve and get even better with some extra configuration in PHD2 that I need to look at. When the mount was shipped, the box it came in had some kind of gunk down the side, which they'd obviously tried to scrape off. Again, it's not a big problem, but you're spending money on a new thing. You don't want gunk on the side. The tripod legs as well, they were scratched, but the supplier is going to replace those when they get more stock in, so it's not a huge problem. The iPolar is pretty amazing. It's very easy to use, very similar to SharpCap in that you see a cross and you see a circle and you just align them up, and when they turn green, you're polar aligned. It's really easy, and it kind of just works, a bit like SharpCap just kind of just works. So yeah, I haven't tested the accuracy of it, say comparing with SharpCap and the iPolar, but judging by the guiding results, I'd say it's pretty accurate. There we go. It's a good mount. It's a really good mount. It's a very high-end and lovely piece of equipment to use, but it has its quirks. So time will tell, and I'll keep you updated on how things go. Thanks ever so much for watching. I hope this was useful. There's not a huge amount of information about the iOptron mounts out there, so I'm hoping to sort of improve that a bit and let you know how my experiences go with it. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.